let's call this meeting to order at 4:31 p.m. Let's mark that for the record. I got my agenda up here. Boop-a-doo, and VP Rubio is going to be doing roll call in the background. Thank you, VP Rubio. And then hopefully everyone got the email from VP Rubio last night with the agenda and the minutes for today. So if you haven't, please take a quick gander at that, and I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from last week's meeting whenever, via chat, via hand raising. Oh, I got a hand raised. Is that Senator Jones? Is that a motion?
Not a motion, more of a comment. I had to actually print a correction. There was a piece on the minutes that wasn't sent. I had accidentally uploaded the wrong version and had re-emailed out everyone the updated version. I'm going to put the updated version in the chat for everyone to be able to view.
Oh, thank you, Senator Jones. I appreciate that. So yeah, take a look at that, and whenever you guys feel comfortable, I will accept that motion. And looks like we got someone here. No, not yet. And hand raise, Senator Jones.
Just for everyone's knowledge, the only thing that had changed of substance was a motion for adding the letter from CAM to the Ad Hoc Committee for Racial Inequity was omitted. So that was the only thing that had changed between the version that was originally sent.
All right, thank you. And now. And Senator Zebel.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, motion's been made. Do we have a second? Second, I'm going to take it with Senator Ziegler. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, please use the hand raising function now. Okay, and we can put them down. And all those opposed, please raise the hand raising function now. Barbara's, I don't know if, yeah, you can raise them up now. And all those down, any abstentions, please raise them up now. All right, it looks like it passed, so yeah. Okay, moving on to the corrections and approval of the agenda for tonight. I will entertain a motion when anyone is ready to make one. And VP Rubio, make that motion. Motion's been made by VP Rubio. Seconded by Senator Zebel. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please use the hand raising function now. Okay, put them down. And all those opposed, please raise them up now. Any abstentions? You can raise those up now. I don't know, I didn't see a lot of hands, but I would figure that that thing passed. So let's keep it moving. Okay, so public comments. Starting off with Jim Falco, the Associate Vice President of Regional Campuses. Welcome. You've got 10 minutes starting at 4:35.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, Chair Green. Appreciate it. Hi, everybody. It's great to see you all. Hope you're all doing well. Hope the semester's going well. Can you imagine there's just like 2 months left? Isn't that amazing? I was talking to the campus managers this morning and we said 2 months. That's it. It's like, wow. Well, I trust it's going well. Thank you again for the invitation to come back. I do appreciate it. I probably will repeat myself. Some of the things that you already know that's happening at the Truax campus are happening at the regional campus, but I think they are worth repeating. And then, of course, I'm always open to questions and suggestions, things like that. So similar to what is happening at the Truax campus once we started, and this really began, back in the summer, we continue to distribute laptops and hotspots to those students that need it. We do anticipate they'll have a few more students that are going to need it in the second 8 weeks, because we have had a handful of students, and by handful I mean about 4 or 5, that have come in to register for the next 8-week classes. So they haven't started yet, so I think they're going to need some. So we have those available. And the latest reports are that the hotspots are working much better now that we've switched from Verizon to US Cellular. So kudos to the IT department, and thank you all for your patience and the patience of all the students who said, hey, these aren't working, can you do something different? So we're using the US Cellular hotspots, and so far they're getting good reviews. In addition to that, and related to it, again, like at the Truax campus, you know that the Wi-Fi signal has been boosted at all of the campuses. So for those students, when the campuses are closed, if they still need Wi-Fi connectivity, they can sit in their cars, as we've had students sit in their cars, and the signal has been boosted out along parking lots around each of the campuses. So that's a good thing. And then just what happened 2 weeks ago, this was also a very big deal that we did at the regional campuses, is that we got cell signal repeaters installed at all the regional campuses. So I don't know if you ever heard any concerns about that, but it was a concern among many faculty and staff as they were trying to talk to students, and students are using their cell phones, and it seemed like their calls were being dropped. Well, at each of the regional campuses, they've installed, and they being the IT department, installed these repeaters, and they've been placed throughout, and they really are helping students to connect with the internet, helping us receive calls. We were having problems with students coming to the door and calling, and we don't get their cell call to say they're here. We had to install doorbells, but prior to the doorbells, we said, just call us. And we found out they were calling us, but we didn't hear them. So that's a good thing. So that's very exciting for us, and we're happy to have that there now too. All of the regional campuses have their food pantries up, and they are all staffed. We are having people drop off food. We have a couple food pantries in the east, meaning Jefferson and Fort Atkinson, that have also contributed some of their food to us because they know that students need them. And it was already at week 3 in Reedsburg that they had depleted most of their stock. So that was amazing. 3 weeks in, and Reedsburg started calling the other campuses, including Truax, to say, hey, can we have some more food? So we have recently, but it was interesting to see right away that we had people using it. So most of the time it is curbside pickup, but obviously if students do come in, we do have an open pantry shelf, and students are taking things off the shelf and eating it right there and going to class. So that's okay too. Anything we can do to help them and get them fed, that's good. Like Truax, again, all of us are adhering to social distancing measures, the increased cleansing that has been going on. They've been implemented to keep the students and the staff safe. We've, all of the chairs, everything is wiped down in between classes. We've tried to make all of the sites where students are meeting in common areas plenty of room between them, and making sure that in computer labs and in kind of general areas, students can feel safe. We do have students that come to campus for online classes. I don't know if you're aware of that. We do have a handful of students, again, that come to campus and they're taking online classes, but because they do not have connectivity at home, they're sitting at the campus for an hour and a half, just taking their online class because they can connect. And the first week of classes, I actually helped a student at the Portage campus log on to Blackboard. And I had to ask him, I said, so can I ask you, why are you here when you're taking an online class? He goes, yes, my kids are at home. I have dogs at home. I can't study. I got to do it here. So we're glad you're here. So we do have students that are coming in. They're only there for an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes, and they leave. And they're taking an online class. So that's what's happening kind of in general at all the campuses. And then specifically with Reedsburg and Fort and Watertown, I'll kind of give you a few updates. Most of the campuses, with the exception of Portage, have all gone through some summer refreshes over the course of the summer. So Reedsburg, for instance, has new furniture installed. Unfortunately, most of you can't enjoy it because we're not encouraging the students there, but they do have, through the summer refresh, updated furnitures, desk in the Student Achievement Center. In the lobby areas, there's new carpeting and lighting and new furniture in a number of the classrooms. So again, trying to keep things fresh, trying to keep it look like the Truax campus as well. And then Reedsburg also had a very large telepresence room for those of you that have taken telepresence classes. And they, over the course of the summer, they split that room in half, remodeled it, and made it 2 smaller WebEx rooms. So now we got WebEx connectivity in 2 additional rooms, which we will use for sending and receiving. One room has enough space for 10 students, not social distance, and one is for 6, not social distance. So we're pacing that out and making sure that they are safe, but we've added more connectivity in some of the rooms there. And then our nursing students are going to host a blood drive on October 26th, and our nursing students are going to do it at the VFW. We're not doing it at the campus, but we are. VFW said you could use their site, and so the nursing faculty and our nursing students from Reedsburg are going over there, and they're going to host a blood drive. And a shout out to Renee and Student Life, because we have had a couple of curbside events for students, and the most recently one was the pickup for the tie-dye t-shirt day. That went well. We had people drive through and get them, so that was good. And then at Fort Atkinson, very similar. They also had a summer refresh. They had Fort Atkinson only had 1 telepresence room, so we took that room and made it into 2, and so they now have 2 WebEx rooms. So anticipate the day when not only more students will come back, but even for those students that are coming through in onesies and twosies, they can use those rooms as well for their classrooms. They are also in Fort Atkinson going to hold a flu shot clinic on October 7th for students only. So similar to some of the times at Truax, they're going to do that at Fort on October 7th. And both Reedsburg, Fort, Watertown, and Portage, all of them are offering some face-to-face classes. I should tell you that if you weren't aware of that. Most of them are hybrid, but they are doing some face-to-face. Reedsburg has a class of about 30 EMT students, and they take 5 different rooms throughout the campuses during the evenings, but EMT is going strong. We haven't lost anybody, which is really exciting, and that's at the Reedsburg campus. Fort Atkinson has metal fabrication and nursing, so they're doing the social distancing. Those things are going on as well. And all of the campuses are also offering placement testing, and then starting this week, we are also offering GED testing. So we're glad to get some of the GED students back, right? They've been having to travel to Truax. Now they can actually come here to the local campus. So that's some of the things that Fort Atkinson's doing. Watertown also had the refresh and got some new carpeting, got some new classroom furniture. They did some new flooring in the hallways. Their face-to-face classes are going, and that's nursing, the CNA, the science classes. Those are all happening. And then with Portage, who had all of their refresh last year, are offering the face-to-face classes. They're offering the group dynamics and traffic safety classes. Their flu shot clinic is on October 6th for students only, so students can come to the Portage campus. And we are holding business and industry trainings at the Portage Enterprise Center, and those have been going well. And then over the course, hopefully over the winter break and sometime this spring, we're going to be installing 4 additional welding booths at the Portage Enterprise Center to expand some of our opportunities for career training for non-credit, and also hopefully to offer more opportunities for summer camps for students.
Jim, I'm just gonna interrupt you there for a second. Because time is up. I did see a hand raised by
please.
Senator Willis to extend the time. How much time did you want to extend it by, Senator Willis?
Jim?
Yes, please.
How much time do you need? How much time do you need?
What I was going to say is those are kind of the highlights that I wanted to give you, and I'm here. I'm happy. I want to be respectful of your time, but I'm happy to answer any questions. I tried to hit the highlights and tried to speak
5
quickly.
minutes, did you say?
Yes.
All right, 5 minutes.
I second that.
Seconded by Senator Zebel. Senator Jones, did you have something, or were you just seconding as well?
I was seconding.
All right. All those in favor, please use the hand raising function now.
Thank you so much, senators.
1, 2, 4, 6, 9, 10. Okay, and you can put them down now. And all those opposed, you can put them up now. And any abstentions, please put them up now. All right. Well, it's approved. 4:46. Add 5 extra minutes on there, so you can finish. And then any questions?
So what I wanted to say, again, thank you for your time. I think I hit the highlights, but absolutely want to take any questions that you have from anybody, or any concerns, or anything that you've heard, or any questions about the regionals that you might want clarified. Happy to do that.
All right, Senator Willis.
Did you say you all are offering traffic safety classes?
We are offering traffic safety classes in conjunction with the court system. Yes, that is correct.
Okay, because the reason I was asking that, because they still haven't started back at Truex, and I was
Okay.
just curious. So now I'll email them again and see when they're going to do theirs again. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we're all doing it at socially distanced, and a component of it is online as well, Katrina.
All right, Senator Fisher.
My apologies. I am struggling with technology right now, but I'll cloak my comment in a question. If there's a way for me to reach out and communicate with you, we have this brand new initiative tackling racial inequity, and I would love to be able to connect with you on the regional campus side and how we can make sure that all student voices are being heard.
Okay.
What would be the best way of communicating with you? And thank you, obviously, for this great presentation. This is really informative.
Oh, you're very welcome. The best way, obviously, would be through email. And I'm the only Falco at the college. All right. And it's JS, James Scott, jsfalco@madisoncollege.edu. Okay. That would be the best. I would welcome a conversation. So thanks for the offer. I'm going to be meeting with the campus managers in the week. The equity and inclusion plan is coming out very soon, and then we're going to meet as a group to talk about what does that look like at a regional campus, right?
Awesome.
What does that look like?
Senator Jones, you had your hand up.
Nope, that was a mistake. I apologize.
All right. Well, I have a couple questions. One relates to an issue that's been going on since last year with dealing with technology and a scanner that needed to be, I don't remember the exact campus, but I want to make sure that that's getting handled. I feel like that's kind of overdue, and I don't know what we need to do to make that happen, but I'm going to say you're the man for this, and however we can get this done, can we connect and get this done, please? Because I do think a lot of the issues do stem from privacy, and the student data is obviously private information and their own. So maybe we can talk about that in email. I don't want to take up time for that. The only other question I have is obviously Wisconsin is on the rise with COVID, and I understand in cases where kind of like in case we're going on right now at my house, dogs and you're trying to study and do your best. So sometimes, you might have to come to the campus. But for the students that don't have that situation, are we providing hotspots or some sort of way so they can be doing these at home? I mean, the whole point of this is keeping everyone separate so that we can, wait this out until that vaccine comes. And anything we can do, I would like to see happen. So and technology services has been doing a great job with it. So yeah.
And so yes, we are. The answer is yes, we are. Hotspots are available, and we have been distributing them. And back to your first point, I have been in conversation with Senator Zebel and Eric, if I could be so bold is if you want to forward that email conversation you and I have been having. I think, Chair Green, we've taken care of that scanner issue.
Oh, then that's
Yeah,
great.
that was coming
That's
up in my
great.
report coming up.
Well,
So, yeah.
I'm on it. I'm with Michelle. I'm on it. Sarah Jones, your question.
Thank you, President Green. Jim, is there any sort of announcement structure for the individual campuses for the students going there to sort of highlight things that are going on with the campus, virtual classes, just updates in general that are specific to those campuses? Or are we just using the generalized announcement system to send out to everyone's email?
We're using the generalized announcement system to the students specifically. That's what we're doing. And of course, certain things we do also post on our Facebook page, and we do have a fair amount of followers in the regional campuses. So we also post them there as well.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, time is up. I just want to say thank you for letting us get some information on the regional campuses. They're very important to us, and we will always looking to find ways to engage and make them feel like part of the community. So thank you for coming, and well, you have a great rest of your day. Stay if you want. I would say stay if you want. It's a great time at these GAs. We have a lot of fun, but you gotta take off.
A little longer. I'll stay a little longer, and thank you for the invitation.
No problem. All right, moving down the list, Sylvia and Ben, budget updates. We got 30 minutes on the clock, starting at 4:52 p.m. Hi, both of you guys.
Hi. 30 minutes is probably more than we need, which is nice. Ben's gonna kick us off.
All right, just one moment. I'm going to start my slideshow, and then I got to move a few things around. All right, we're good to go. Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Monty. I'm the manager in the budget office. I'm here today with our VP Administration, Sylvia Ramirez. We're here to talk to you about next year's budget and also give you an update on the current year budget. Just want to briefly, Sylvia's going to talk for a little bit, just of the current context of the things that the campus is handling. She's just going to talk to you about the current year budget and some of the changes we are making to it to address lower enrollment that has been occurring. I'll then talk to you about our budget timeline, and finally I'll talk to you about what next year's budget is looking like. I'll hand it over to Sylvia.
Hi. Say that I'm always thrilled to come and see you all. I love seeing the new makeup of the General Assembly, but I also just appreciate so much how engaged you all are, and how much attention you pay to everything that's going on both at the college and in the wider world. And so with that, I'm going to say that I'm going to tell you give you a bunch of background, but I don't think all of it's going to be a surprise to you. So as you know, in your learning worlds and in our working worlds and possibly your working worlds, things have been changing pretty rapidly. We've had to respond to significant changes in the health situation and then the ripple impacts on the economy. And that means, and we're seeing that exact same kind of roller coaster is how I've been describing it in the financial world. So you may have heard over the summer, there was a lot of discussion about whether or not the state was going to reduce the budget further for the last fiscal year. So the state runs a biennial budget, which means that it's over 2 years, but they treat each year pretty individually. So their fiscal year runs the same time as ours, which is July 1st to June 30th. So as we got close to June 30th, which now feels like 100 years ago, there was discussion about whether or not tax collections were going to be insufficient to cover the state's costs. And you might recall that the tax filing deadline was extended to July 15th. And so especially as they got to the end of the year, not everyone had filed, so they didn't have a good sense of where taxes were going to land. And you may recall that the UW system and UW-Madison put out some press releases explaining that further cuts to their state funding would be detrimental to their operations. So we receive state funding as well. And so a cut to state funding for us would also impact our revenue picture. And I'll get to why it's not quite as detrimental to us in a second, but just to give you some context, we get quite a bit of state support. And so a 10% reduction in our state support, depending on how it was implemented, would be between $1.2 and $7.3 million. So a pretty substantial component of our finances. The nice thing is that that extended tax filing window passed, and while collections were down, they weren't down too much. And so we all went, like, finally, right, we're free. So that was around like late July. And then about 2 weeks ago, a little less than 2 weeks ago, they announced that there's going to be an additional $300 million in state cuts during this current fiscal year, so the one that started on July 1st. So we're waiting to see how that may impact us. The WTCS portion, so the technical college system that governs all of us, is only about $6 million. So that means, right, that we can't see a $7.3 million reduction. But they won't know for another few months how that may impact us. The technical college system gets money in a lot of different ways, and so they're working with the State Department of Administration, who runs their budget office, to figure out the appropriate way to make that reduction. But we do expect that. We do also expect that we'll see continued developments in the state budget, because the state's biennial budget development process is going on right now. And so their process runs very similarly to ours, except it's only every 2 years. So state agencies submit their request in September. The budget gets approved hopefully sometime in the late spring or early summer. And so as they develop their budget for next year, they're obviously looking at a worse economic situation, likely lower tax collections for the entirety of the next biennial budget. And so we're planning that we will see a reduction in our state aids as a result of that. The reason it's not quite as detrimental in the current year for us as it is for the UW is that we've seen significantly fewer cuts than they have, which I always like to acknowledge that we've been very fortunate in that regard. But we also have something called a contingency. So the college keeps an operating contingency that functions not as much like a savings account as it does like keeping a cushion in your checking account. And so what happens is, if for some reason our revenue is down, we keep 3% of our revenue in our contingency, and we're able to then offset some of that loss from the college's contingency. And so we're really, really fortunate that Dr. Daniels and Mark Thomas, who are our president, and then our formerly our CFO and now our chief operating officer, had the foresight to build the contingency into the budget. That's allowed us a lot of flexibility as we respond to changes in our financial picture. It's allowed us to not have to resort to drastic measures immediately, like you saw at other private businesses, as well as at the UW, where they're furloughing employees, and we have not had to do that yet. And so the college's contingency, more than ever, is something that's really critical, and we're planning to maintain over the next few, for the foreseeable future, but certainly is critical over the next few years as we work through this time of great uncertainty. So for financial planning, one of the things that's really important is, what the behavior of students is going to be. One of the things that we're planning is that we won't return to health normalcy. So, where there's either a significant change in the development of a vaccine or other treatments, or I don't know, we all quarantine until it goes away. We don't expect any significant change in our health normalcy until the fall of 2022. So that means we're planning right now that the entire next fiscal year will be similar to this one. And then we expect that any kind of economic fallout from that will linger even longer. Some of the national conversation is that it's 4 to 5 years before the economy is in a solid recovery. And so typically, since we're a community college, if the economy is bad, we see an uptick in enrollment because people are coming for retraining or of the, I hate to call it free time, but taking advantage of the fact that they have some additional time to maybe complete a degree. And so that we call it being counter-cyclical. So community college enrollment goes up when the economy is bad. Enrollment at four-year institutions goes down when the economy is bad. However, the pandemic, as you probably know better than anyone, is changing students' behavior. People aren't looking at, oh, the economy is bad, let me go get retraining, because people are worried about their health and the health of their families. And I think there's also so much uncertainty about when things are going to be better. And so so we know that our enrollment is lower this year, and we're expecting it to be even lower next year. And then one thing I just want to point out is that next year we're actually projecting lower revenue than we have in the current year, which we have not done, I think, at least in the past 10 years. So it's a dramatically different financial position for us than we're typically in. And so, I absolutely think we're going to weather it. I think we're going to do great ultimately. I think we're going to take advantage of, all the things that we're learning right now about online education to be an even stronger institution. But for the next year or two, it's going to be a tough time. And so to give you more detail about that, I can talk a little bit about what we're looking at this year, which helps give you some context for what we're going to talk about. We're planning for next year. So right now, we had projected that our enrollment would be lower. We expected it to be down about 5%. It is down about 10%. And so we're likely to collect $2 to $3.5 million less in tuition and fee revenue than we typically would. And it always blows me away when I give that number to students, because if you think about like your collective investment in Madison College, it's amazing. And so we're so proud to be here for you. Our tax levy growth, so we do have some capacity to levy property tax. And our estimate was a little bit high for this year, but not seriously off. But that is some additional lost revenue. And then we're seeing significant increased expenses due to COVID-19. So I don't know how many of you do come on campus, but we have door screeners, we have extra cleaning supplies, our custodial teams are cleaning more frequently, and we have extra staff. We've invested in faculty professional development to help improve the online learning experience. And so there's been quite, of course, and then the technology, which Jim talked about, hotspots and laptops. So there's been a significant increase in expenditures for us during this time. And so that's another pressure, especially as we look to future years. We're still waiting to see, like I said, what that state aid's impact is going to be. And then I don't know how many of you have been around long enough to remember our downtown campus. We have a lease to Drury Hotels for that property. As you may know, the hotel industry has been particularly hard hit during the pandemic, and so they missed their lease payment in July, and we're currently in negotiations with them moving forward about whether or not we can come to some kind of agreement regarding that payment. So for now, we're expecting that we won't receive it in the current year. And so how do we handle it? This is obviously going to be the next question. So one thing is, because enrollment is lower, we are offering fewer sections. And that's translating into some savings because we're not having to pay instructors to teach those sections. The college is on a travel ban through at least December 31st of this year. And so we will be reducing people's travel budgets. While there's some stress about that, overall, people understand that if we're not traveling, and we have a deficit, this is a good place to look. Like I talked about, we looked at the contingency to help support us during this time. And then we have been fortunate to be recipients, both directly and through the state, of CARES Act funding. And so the CARES Act was passed back in March by the federal government as a way to provide a lot of different types of aid to support folks through the pandemic. And so we got some direct funding to us that we've been using for things like technology investment, improving the online learning experience. And then our state funding has focused more on safety and health. So we've been buying cleaning supplies and personal protective equipment, and paying for to have additional staff to clean or to monitor the doors. And so that funding is due to expire at the end of the year, this fiscal year. And so we're also trying to incorporate what of those costs we'll need to build into our budget into the subsequent year. So there's a lot on our plate, but we have a crazy capable team. And so I'm thrilled to hand it over to Ben, who is one of the masters of making our finances work. Ben, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Before I talk to you about FY21-22 budget, I'm just going to share with you our timeline related to budget planning. Starting right now, October is when we allow managers to start developing their budgets. They submit those at the beginning of November, and then they get reviewed by associate vice presidents. After that, they're reviewed by the vice presidents and the provosts. In January, the budgets get reviewed by the president and cabinet. And then in February, we give our budget update to the board. Between February and April, we actually do final budget balancing. For example, the budget that we present to the board in February, it might not necessarily be balanced at that time. Finally, when we present the board with the budget in April, it should be balanced. In May, we hold a public hearing on the board. In June, the board approves the budget. And then in July, our fiscal year starts. For the FY21-22 on the revenue side, we're projecting that we are going to have $156.2 million. Sylvia talked earlier about our state aids and how significant that is to us. That's about 46.8% of our budget. About 30% of our budget comes from the property tax, and then over 20% of our revenue comes from tuition and fees. When developing our revenue budget, these are the assumptions that we included. We included a 3% increase in tax levy, and that's due to net new construction. That's based on a rule passed by the state, which indicates we can collect additional property tax on the change in sort of the value of buildings going up and buildings coming down. And we live in an area of the state where it seems that more buildings are going up than are coming down. So we are fortunate for that, at least. Sylvia had also mentioned the state aids, and so we did include a $1.2 million decrease in state aids in anticipation that that may affect our budget. The budget is based on 7,300 full-time equivalent students. A full-time equivalent student is considered about 30 credits. This budget also includes a 0% tuition increase. We're also assuming that our interest earnings are going to be lower than they have been historically. Other items I want to note, we are anticipating that the WTCS is going to eliminate the $10 per credit online course fee. Historically, that's brought in about $600,000 in revenue.
And I just want to jump in and say we don't know for sure that's going to happen because I know that directly impacts you guys. Our assumption is that's going to happen because it's been under discussion. And so we're hopeful on your behalf that that does happen. But I just want to let you know not to go tell everyone it's going to be gone.
Thank you, Sylvia. And the other thing that Sylvia mentioned earlier is whether we're going to be able to collect our rent payments for the downtown campus. And so we do not have that included as a future revenue source at this time. On the expenditure side, we're projecting that we're going to spend $162.3 million. Most of our budget goes towards salaries and fringe benefits. It's typically almost been 80% or higher for quite some time. About 16% of our budget is supplies and services. That includes items like travel, professional development, contracted services, instructional supplies. And then the other piece that we note is that contingency that Sylvia had noted. And right now it's not equal to 3% just because it's on the expenditure side. It's 3% of our revenues that we budget as our contingency. In developing the expenditure budget, this budget does include a 1.5% increase in salaries and wages. When we look at fringe, the major driver of our fringe costs is our cost for health insurance. In this budget, we included a 25% increase in the WPS Arise plan, with 6.2% increase for GHC plan, and a 7.9% increase for a Dean plan. Our budget also includes some items we call savings. It includes 2.5% salary savings. We budget for every position to act as if it's filled for the entire year, but we know that is not the case. So we include this adjustment to account for the time that positions may be vacant during the fiscal year. Associated with that then too is some fringe savings. And that's slightly higher, we're projecting in fringe savings than in salary savings. And then as we've mentioned, our contingency is 3% of revenue. So when you put those two numbers together, as I mentioned, our expenditures are 162.3, and our revenues are 156.2. That leaves us with a deficit of $6.1 million for our initial budget projection. This is a 10-year budget projection, and we share this to kind of show what the future will look like. You can see it starts off where both of the lines are intersected and connected in FY 2021, and that's because we passed a balanced budget. And as Sylvia mentioned earlier, we're projecting to have lower revenue next fiscal year than we did in the current fiscal year, which is why our revenue line is going down. But you'll notice that our expense line is going up. So that is what is creating the budget gap that we have in our initial budget. We are projecting some recovery after that, and then you'll see revenue start to go back up. But expenditures historically have increased more rapidly than our revenues. So that line does, projected out, does have a slightly higher angle to it there. That concludes our budget presentation. You do have any questions and you want to contact us, if you think of something after the meeting, you're always welcome to email us at budgetoffice@madisoncollege.edu. Also, I'd like to note I provide support to the Student Activities Board. So I attend their meetings. And so if we're in a meeting like this, I don't know if I'll have the chance to talk really, but feel free, if you think of something, you can email me too. My address is bmonty@madisoncollege.edu. President Sean, if you want to start seeing if anyone has any questions, we can start answering those.
Yeah, Senator Fisher. Senator.
Hi, thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm still dealing with my technology,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
But I did want to ask, you know, you'd mentioned downtown DTech hotel, and so I was wondering if you consider that a lag indicator, if it's an indicator at all, or just a short-term topic. And then you mentioned the online fees or online classes, and that removing that that cost. If you consider that sort of a leading indicator. And I guess where I'm going with this is, are there any other non-COVID related, you know, indicators that you're looking at as far as being able to, you know, continue this really remarkable work?
Yeah, so we conduct economic analyses And one of the biggest sources of support we actually get is from the city. So within our district, Ben talked about the concept of net new construction. So that impacts our ability to collect additional property tax revenue. And right now that's actually also impacting the jury payment, which is not typical. That's like very directly COVID related. But so we work closely with the city of Madison to understand where construction is going within the city, because the city is one of the biggest drivers of our increases in property tax. What we've heard from them is, and what we've seen when we've gone through the data, is that the construction overall in the city is still up pretty high with the exception of hotels. So hotel projects are the most likely to have been scrapped or otherwise paused. My understanding from Drury is that they're pausing, so I think they have some expectation that they may be able to resume the project. I think it's one of those things that depends on how long this lasts. For the online course fee, I think that my personal opinion is that eliminating the online course fee will help enrollment. There's been some national surveys that have said that students choose not to take classes that have online course fees. And so when you're running 70% or more of your classes online and they do have that fee, then I do think that that's harming students' ability to pay for courses, and eliminating that fee would be beneficial to students and to the college's financial picture if students are able to enroll in more courses. So I think that, we try to monitor this stuff from a lot of different angles, and so that we can do the best possible job projecting. This year, when we passed the budget back in, it passed in early June, we were pretty stressed. You have to pass a budget, right? And the budget, as Ben mentioned, has to be balanced, which means revenues equal expenditures. So you have to assume a lot, and we knew that we were going to be way off because there was just no way to know what was going to happen. We expect that COVID is going to continue to have that impact on us through this budget development cycle. We're hopeful by the time we hit June and we're actually passing the budget that we feel more confident about where things are going. It seems like we'll know a lot more once the election happens and once we see how testing, vaccines, and treatments evolve for COVID.
Awesome.
Well, as I understand it in that chart, I just wanted to personally thank you, because I know it's no easy feat passing a balanced budget, and everybody is impacted by this global pandemic. I mean, it's an uncertain time, and I can tell that you're really doing a great job. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely would be on that same level with Senator Fisher. Yeah, we all thank you, both of you, for all the hard work. I'm going to give everyone one last chance for some questions here. Otherwise, like Ben said, the budget office at madisoncollege.edu, and was it B. Monty at madisoncollege.edu as well for Ben? But anyone have any last questions before we conclude this presentation part of the assembly?
I think there's one, Vernon.
Yep. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, hi. Regarding the contingency plan, will that be fully funded in the coming budgets, and how much have we used of that in previous fiscal years?
Sure, that's a great question. I can answer it. I'll try to answer it as quickly as I can without looking things up, so I can give you more information if you need it. So this year we did reduce the contingency and had budgeted at about 2.5%. We have about $2 million out of that remaining. It was about $4 million when we started the year. So we're still okay. And then, and that already accounts for assuming we didn't receive the jury payment and that our tax levy is down a little bit. In prior years, we've spent most of it. There has never been a year we've spent all of it. So this might be the year, but there have been years we've gone back and forth with whether or not 3% is an appropriate number. There were times where we thought maybe 2% was more appropriate. But right now, I think we're going to work very hard to ensure that we can maintain it at 3%, especially if we don't get more stability. We developed the budget, as Ben pointed out at the beginning, all the way through we generally finalize our assumptions and get everything in place in March. And so we're hoping by then we'll have a pretty clear picture of where things are.
Awesome. Yeah, and Advisor Ron made a very good point about the fact that Sylvia did send out that attachment earlier today, and if everyone just would like take a look at it, I looked at it myself, it has some very interesting information. And yeah, so I'm just gonna say on behalf of the Senate, we thank both of you for all the hard work that you guys do. Budgets can I'm not a numbers person. Budgets they get in through my head. So thank you for both of you. And with that, I'm gonna exactly. With that, I'm gonna say stay if you would like. Eat dinner, go off, do whatever you want, enjoy your life, your evening, your families, but stay safe and healthy. And I'm going to move down the list now. Renee, Director of Student Life, welcome. You have 10 minutes on the clock.
Oh, wow. I don't know why I was thinking 3. Maybe that's a Robert's Rule thing, but I don't need that much time, but thank you. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well and staying healthy. For those of you who I haven't met, or if I've met you and didn't recognize you because you had a mask on, my name is Renee Alfano, and I serve as the Director of Student Life. On behalf of Student Life and Doug Kirkberg, the advisor to the Clarion, we'd like to thank Cam and Shai and Michelle for their willingness to come forward last week and share their experiences and recommendations to improve and strengthen the Clarion experience. And quite honestly, those recommendations can improve all our student organizations and the experiences for all the students who work in student life, and specifically students of color. Student Life is committed to equity and inclusion, and we submitted our goals and objectives to Vice President Casper in September for review. Some of those objectives align with the recommendations that were outlined in the letter. However, this list that was shared last week provides us with further insight and more of a focus for our goals. A couple of items I'd like to highlight include that we will be reviewing all policies and procedures of our groups, written and unwritten. This objective was returned to me because it was too broad, so we will begin with the Clarion. Secondly, we'll expand our student leadership training from an identity-based focus, which is what we've done in the past, to include equity concepts and creating inclusive environments. And lastly, some of you may know that we began paying our student leaders who are on payroll for participating in training, and especially the training that Ellie plans for all of us. And we are now in discussions with HR on how to include students who may not be on payroll or receive a stipend, such as reporters for the Clarion, so that we can provide paid training for all our student leaders. As it relates to the Clarion specifically, the Clarion Handbook outlines that the Student Media Board, as written in Administrative Policy 1190, is responsible for addressing policies, providing guidance to help students adhere to ethics in journalism, and addresses grievances. The makeup of the Student Media Board includes myself as chair, one staff member from Student Life, a faculty member from the journalism program, and 6 students. The 6 students consist of 3 appointed from Student Senate and the editors from the Clarion and Your Hard Journal and the manager of the Clarion Radio. It is my recommendation that, well, it's not my recommendation. What we will be doing is pulling the Student Media Board together to to address a number of different ways that we can improve the experience for our students. If the makeup of the committee is not representative of students of color, we'll work to amend the makeup to include ad hoc members. Our timeline will begin mid-October in order to have a report for you before winter break. And at that time, I'll come back and share with you the work that the Student Media Board has concluded. Again, thank you for this opportunity and the feedback. All of Student Life is committed to providing a safe, equitable, and quality learning experience for all our students. So we take this letter very seriously and will work to improve. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Do we have any questions for Renee at all?
Senator Willis had a hand up first.
Oh, Senator Willis.
Thank you. Good evening, Renee. As far as the Student Media Board, are you all looking at people who have previously sat on that board, or are you looking to create a new board?
The college administrative policy would be, that would be up to Student Senate in terms of who is appointed to serve on that board. So we'll look to Sean to make those appointments. We don't dictate who the students are from Senate who sit on the board. So we'll have a formal request going to Sean to appoint 3 students.
All right, Senator Fisher, you had a question?
Yes, and thank you for responding so swiftly to the joint letter. I'm wondering if you are able tonight to stay at least through special reports, because I think I have some part of my report might include some of that discussion. If you're able to stay, that would be great.
Sure, no problem.
All right, and any other questions at all for Renee? Okay, well, I just want to first say thank you, and thank you for taking this very seriously, and having your eye out for the students' best interests. And yeah, please stay. It's always a great time to have you here. I'm going to move down the list, and we're going to keep moving on. Okay, so officer and committee reports, executive council report, that would be for me. We had talked about a few different things, made some appointments, and we had a good discussion started about adding basically excused absences. I mean, you have an emergency or something happens, you shouldn't get docked points for that if you can't come to the General Assembly. Now that's a lot of things have to be defined with that, and obviously add to the bylaws, but it was an initial discussion to start seeing what we can do to make sure that that thing clause is in there so that students don't get ranked up with points. But yeah, that's pretty much the biggest gist of everything that went on yesterday. So that kind of concludes my report. Admin and Finance, VP
Senator
Rubio.
Willis had a hand
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry, Senator Willis. I don't know why I keep missing you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to ask, when you all vote on that, will you also take into consideration when people have connectivity issues trying to join into the meeting and it actually delays us actually getting in?
I guess maybe I just don't understand the question.
Meaning, like, for example, tonight it took me almost 10 minutes to actually get logged in. You and I were just on a team call right before that meeting. Yep. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it was the internet or whatever, but I could not get in. And even several times during the meeting tonight, everything kept freezing. So I was just trying to wonder if a consideration would also be allowed for us technically being late because we couldn't get in.
That's
because
a great,
internet issues.
yeah, that's a great, no, that's
Because we
great
get
that you
points for
brought
that
that up.
too.
Because to be quite honest, I mean, you know, doing this virtually with this pandemic thing, I mean, the technology can not always work the way it's supposed to. So it's a great thing that you brought up, so we can work that in somehow. Senator Rubio.
Actually, Advisor Room had her hand up first, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all
Oh,
good.
mistake.
Put it back down.
So, and actually, I just realized that I haven't been muted for a little while. So you may have heard, I do take screenshots of like the, like just the people that are in the like chat or this meeting right now later on. So if you were 10 minutes late, it's okay. If I'm understanding that portion of your question correctly, like if you're late to the GA meetings, you're not getting docked for being late. I understand things happen. As long as you're here, you know, for a majority of the meeting, I understand. If you miss like half the meeting, then okay. But so at least for GA meetings, you know.
And that's why VP Rubio is the best, you know. So, yeah. Any other question? I mean, I see something in the chat. Was that something relevant here? Oh no. Gold. No, that's not relevant. Okay, and let's please keep it professional, please. All right. Admin and finance, VP Rubio.
Yes. So first thing, we are still looking for an alternate for the SAB council, student to board committee council.
Just SAB.
Yeah, SAB. Anyway, so I will be at most of those meetings, so don't ever worry. Like, if you couldn't attend those, you know, like it would just be great to have people there because I think from what I learned in my first meeting, it was an awesome opportunity to like meet a bunch of people that are involved in all different organizations with this institution that we are all involved with. So a great way to network as well. So again, still looking for an alternate just to attend some of the meetings if you can, as many as possible. And, you know, but I understand if things happen because, you know, so on and so forth. Anyway, so speaking of committees and councils, I do want to create attendance sheets so that way those can be logged. So, you know, we make sure people are attending those and that's all accounted for. So I will send out an email to the chairs to see if this is something interested. I have a couple of ideas, so I'm just going to throw samples in an email and see what you think about them. Next week, just for time's sake right now, my report will probably only consist of a budget update. So luckily we are doing just fine maintaining our expenses right now, but next week, just to give an overview of what things look like, we'll do that. I know Senator Fisher touched on this briefly last meeting. Our Big Brothers Big Sisters fundraiser that a few of the senators and I are a part of have begun assigning roles to certain positions to really get this going. Timeline wise, obviously, you know, we're aware of everything going on. So ideally, you know, we want to have something happen before Thanksgiving, but, you know, before winter break for sure. And then the last thing that I do want to mention is I have updated the stipend. Now that the roll records that have been in each of the meeting materials for the GAs, I'm sorry, those aren't updated yet. I will do that as soon as this meeting is over. And so I've sent out some emails for points just to be aware of points. I know, again, times are kind of crazy right now. So, you know, an appeal process is very doable. You know, if there's something that happens, just communication is vital. So if, you know, you can't attend something, just try your best to communicate, you know. And then the last thing I want to throw into is regarding office hours when you're logging them, just to try to do in 30-minute, you know, increments of 30 minutes. I'm glad nobody's done like 7 minutes, 13 minutes, you know, and kind of crazy like that. Either way, it still keeps track, but I'm not, so just to keep it consistent with, you know, when I used to log mine as a senator and there was a previous vice president of admin and finance, things were logged only in 30-minute increments, no 15, no 5. So if we can just keep that consistent. Other than that, unless there's any questions, that concludes my report.
Any questions for VP Rubio?
Senator Fisher?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the Big Brothers Big Sister thing. I think it's a really cool project. And I during VP Moreno's team development, we were kind of chatting a little bit about it, and I was just wondering if there's enough time to just give a little bit of sharing of the concept in case other senators might be interested in sort of joining those efforts.
Yeah. Yeah, again, as Senator Fisher just stated, anybody is welcome to join this. So far, we've narrowed it down, and we're still getting the logistics down. So we think this is the plan. This is the only reason I haven't really gone forth with expressing everything for time's sake to do a telethon to get the community involved, if possible. Otherwise, the Performing Arts Center at Madison College, those students, that way they're still engaged with what they're doing, and gives the opportunity for people in the community, if possible, to perform live music or magic shows, or keep it, I guess kind of whatever they want to do. Obviously, we would approve of it and everything, but for us to host a telethon is kind of, is the idea right now. So if we can go forth with that, that's the plan. If anything changes, I will update you on that. And then
Awesome.
if you have anything else to throw in there, feel free now.
I would say time is up, but I would definitely say, if maybe after the GA is done, if anyone is interested, or even after tomorrow or whatever, I mean, this is a big thing and it's a good thing, but if anyone else is interested, yeah, just reach out to Marcus, and yeah, he'll fill you in. But thank you guys. But that concludes your report, VP Rubio, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to go down to legislative affairs. Is currently there's some sick in that position, so Team Development Committee, VP Moreno.
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good day so far. For my report, I have so thank you for those that attended the movie night. I feel that it was a success in the sense that everything worked smoothly. Sound, video, I was praying throughout the whole movie, but I'm glad that those that were there enjoyed it. I am currently working with a team to set in the dates that we're starting to meet and discuss the new events that I have in mind. So the hints or little clues that I'm going to give about games that I have in mind are trivia nights, Kahoot games to learn, educational and at the same time fun things about Senate. And I would say also that important for everyone that hasn't done the presentations about Senate to start doing those. I sent in an email the information with the presentation or how to get to the presentations through the files. So, start doing that. It doesn't take long, at least with an email to your professors. And after doing so, let us know, either VP Rubio, Ellie, or me, and we'll have that down. But it is a must for every member. So very important on that line. And I would say keep checking emails just in case I send the usual reminders of the week. And that's what I have for the report today.
Yeah. Check those emails. Any questions for VP Moreno? Looks like no. All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, well, man, has that next movie been scheduled yet? VP Moreno.
The next one?
Yeah, when's the next one? Is it scheduled? I mean, is it on the books?
Not yet, but I definitely have the days that I have planned to do things, like to have the days like settled, so I can start sending out information. And I know Senator Shai offered a good movie that he said that we were gonna laugh. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, that sounds like it's gonna be a great time. Let's get that on the books.
Sure thing.
All right. Thank you very much, VP Moreno. Let's go down to public relations with VP Saeed.
Hello, how you all doing? So we met on last Friday, and we discussed about publishing posts on social media platforms, and we also discussed about how we could promote Senate at regional campuses. And we have announced the giveaway winner for the event which we had. Like we have sent out some masks to all the new students, and we have announced the giveaway today. And yeah, another thing is we created a nomination form where we'll be sending out to the instructors where they could nominate a student which they feel might be interested in joining Senate. And also we are working on outlining the details for future giveaways which we are planning in late fall. And we are also planning to collaborate with regional campus organizations to host an event in the future. And I think that's pretty much it for right now. And yeah, I have a lot of things going on, and I'll keep you all posted. And that is my report. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, VP Said. Any questions at all? All right. Okay, and we're going to keep it moving down the list. Advisory report with Advisor Rome.
Awesome. Should be pretty quick. So this afternoon I sent out an email to see if any of you would be interested in helping Brianna Stapleton Welch and I, she's the advisor for the Volunteer Center, with facilitating these campus conversations on sort of the question to vote or not to vote. I thought that you all might be really good facilitators for that sort of event. So check your email, look at the details there, and then let me know if you are able to help out, and we can get you paid for that. Brianna and I, also are hosting 2 workshops in the coming weeks on getting registered to vote, planning for how you're going to vote, and a Q&A with the League of Women Voters, who are just experts in everything voting. So if you are not quite certain about what you need to do in the next month to make sure that your vote is counted, or you have friends who maybe haven't voted in the past, aren't sure if they're registered, please let them know about these workshops. They're going to be happening on October 5th, which is next Tuesday at 5:30, and October 13th, which is the following Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. And they're both in Wolfpack Connect. And then just my final thing, I see Eric has a question, but it's just, I am just really so happy with all the work that you're doing. You're just so engaged. It's awesome. I'm so impressed. I know that life is not how you thought it might be when pretty much all of you signed up to be on Senate. So just wanted to give you a shout out because I know that you're all working hard here and in other ways. So I really appreciate it, and I know it means a lot to the students.
There we go, muted. Sounds like Isabel, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I know everyone's going to bring up voting and ballots later on in life again, but be careful when you get your ballots, read them over. I have but I've seen a bunch of videos, and people have confirmed this, that some people get ballots and the number's cut off, and some people get the ballot and the other number's still there. So when they vote for, let's say the example was 14 was one of the numbers, but on someone else's it was 4. So if you vote for 4, it's not going to count because you didn't put 14. But that was cut off on the person's paper, the other person's paper they got. So as a security person, that's just a big flaw in the system I see. So if you read your ballots over carefully, make sure there's nothing cut off, no numbers missing, anything like that, and then you should be good that way. That's all I
guess
got.
I haven't heard about that, but make sure that you're going through myvotewisconsin.gov to request your ballots if you are getting them by mail. There could be other things going around out there in the mail that look real but are fake. So just make sure that you're going through the legitimate sites. And if you ever have questions, go directly to your city clerk, because they are the ones who print and send out the ballots for your city or town. So make sure that that's the person you're working with and not going through some third party. I see Katrina has maybe a comment to add with that.
Yep, Senator Willis.
Oh, now you're muted.
Yeah.
I'm a chief inspector here in the city of Madison, and because I don't work at my polling place, I have to vote absentee. Now, I'm not sure where the ballot that you're talking about came from, but I know typically with Wisconsin ballots, it's not a vote by number system. The names are listed on them so that you can actually select by party and by the person's name. So I'm not really sure where those videos came from that you were looking at, Senator Zibel, but here, that's not the way that most of the ballots in the state of Wisconsin are actually handled. But I agree with Advisor Rome. Make sure you have a legitimate ballot that came from your city clerk's office if you are voting absentee. And like I said, even though I work for the clerk, I'd never put mine in the mail. I always take it directly to the clerk's office or to one of the library one of the drops like at the library so that it doesn't have to go through the mail. And so that's a consideration as well.
Yeah, that could have been a fake video I saw or something like that, but it was just something that my friend has numbers in California. So it kind of went along with what people were saying in videos and stuff like that and with what there were. So that's why I was just bringing it up. Who knows? I just want people to make sure they're reading what they're reading and it's actual thing and not something fake.
And make sure you have a witness sign the back of it, or they're not going to accept the FT ballot. So, but thank you very much, both of you. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Advisor Rome. Moving down, Student Activities Board. There has not been you guys knew about the last one. The next one is a couple weeks away, I believe. So I can't really say that there's anything new going on. But once I do go to the next one, you will get some information. So that's that. Now, housing accessibility update. With a new appointment here, Senator Jonathan Jones.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Green. President Green, appreciate it. Just want to let everyone know, I don't know if President Green had touched on this already about my appointment as chair officially taking place now, but I am now the chair of the committee. I will be sending out an email to anyone who shows interest in joining the committee. Looking forward to actually structuring some form of action plan towards the initiative of housing accessibility. So having some steps that we can take that are quantifiable and qualifiable rather than simply existing in the ether, so to speak. So if you are interested in joining the committee, please send me an email, let me know, and I'll get back right to you ASAP.
Awesome. Thank you, Senator Jones. Now, next, we have I guess this should be mentioned quickly. Digital equity is it's no longer going to be called digital equity. It's going to be called Digital Access Impact Team, as Senator Zibel is one of the Senate representative to the school's team for technology, making sure technology is being sent out to students. That's really how it's going to go. We don't need an initiative for digital equity currently for the Senate, as something is happening already, majorly happening with the school. So with that said, Senator Zibel, if you wanted to give us an update on what's going on with the team.
Did you get rid of my spot? Is that what you're saying?
No, I didn't get rid of your spot. It just got named what it should have been named.
Oh, okay. I was like, are we getting rid of my position?
I have a point of order. Really, it's a point of information, and this might be to Advisor Rome's position about the framing of an initiative. I wasn't here when the initiative was originally created, so I don't understand that process. But I guess my point of information is there still a digital equity initiative?
Yes. So yes, you did make it kind of sound like the initiative wasn't there. What the executive council talked about was that there's nothing that a Senate committee could do that would be greater, or even maybe possibly add to what the digital access impact team is working on. So Eric is going to serve in that capacity of continuing to keep Senate involved with the digital equity initiative through his role on that committee or that team. And then as needed, we'll solicit feedback, volunteers, anything that team, the college-wide team, needs from the Student Senate to help with digital equity. But it was determined that there maybe wasn't a need to form a separate committee within Senate that's just made up of senators.
Thank you for that clarification, and I'll reserve my other question to Senator Zebel after the presentation.
All right, Senator Zebel.
Cool, I'm on track now. I know what's up. So we've been getting laptops back, but they've been broken. So we made I don't even call it a rule. It was kind of like a cult thing, it felt like, because we all raised our hands and says what we're doing, so it was weird. I know we didn't write it down or nothing, but it was if you bring it back twice broken, you're out of the program kind of thing, is what we determined, which is way far enough fair, because if you bring it back broken once, I mean, come on, it's not yours anyways, why you, but you know, so we kind of just agreed on that. Other than that, there's not much going on that end, besides coming back broken, getting them repaired, which is under warranty. Everything that comes back from them has been under our warranty, so we haven't had any complications with that, surprisingly. So we'll see what's up later on.
Senator Fisher, you had that question still.
Yes, I do. So in understanding the role of the initiative today, Senator Zebel, I would ask you if you would be amenable to constructing some kind of, I don't know, thing in the way of, I don't know if it's a resolution or some kind of writing so that we can have a better understanding of the initiative. And I guess I asked that in saying, in volunteering myself and assisting in any way, because I think that, if there's no committee, I can certainly understand that aspect. But if there's anything greater in just how the initiative works, I think it would be in the interest of the Senate going forward, since some of us graduate and things like that, to understand, the current status of the initiative. Is that something that you would consider?
I'm going to cut in here right now and say, read the 3-year plan that Senate has put out for this current year that lays out action plans for what the digital equity is supposed to be. That the 3-year plan it's got all the information that you're asking for right now. And I would say, please give it a read. It's available on the website, I believe. It's also available on SharePoint. But it has all 2 current initiatives, not the racial inequity one, but and yeah, VP Rubio can also help with that and show you as well, because it's his thing that he is keeping on track. So I think that's the best
my question
answer.
to Senator Zebel, sorry to interrupt, but it was because of what sounds like executive council talked about, and if it's adherent to this plan, then that's fine. I'm just trying to see if there was a change. That's all I was trying to understand.
Well, the change came because the pandemic happened. I mean, that's really what happened. A pandemic happened, and it forced technology services to actually distribute all the technology that we've been trying to work with, talking about making that happen. So, I mean, it kind of got first, their hand got first. And then now we don't have to engage it as much. It's still going to be an issue that needs to be watched and oversaw, and that's why Senator Zebel is in the perfect position, because he's talking with the higher ups with technology services to make sure that this stuff is going to continue to happen. And if something needs to change at that time, later down the road, Senate will review that and make adjustments accordingly. I mean. But it's definitely not something we're dropping, and it's definitely not something we're not still taking seriously. I think, Advisor Rome, if you have anything you want to add to that.
Yeah, I would just say we were actually looking at the goals from the 3-year plan, so thanks for bringing that up. That this digital access impact team actually accomplished most of those goals. So the first goal was bring together a group of people from around the college who know what's going on with digital equity. Done. Second was determine what the need is for software, hardware, Wi-Fi, all of those things. That committee did it. So it was really determined that all of the goals that the Student Senate put forth in the 3-year plan were sort of met, like Sean said, based on circumstance, that it was really pushed. The college had to act. So that's why it didn't seem like there was anything else other than Eric continuing to share information and soliciting volunteers and feedback like he's been doing, like feedback for the laptop program and stuff like that. And time is about to expire in 5 seconds.
And I would say that everyone is doing a wonderful job in getting this senator up to speed. Thank you.
Not a problem. That's what we're here for. All right.
That concludes my report. I'm good.
Good. All right. So now the Racial Inequity Committee with Senator Fisher.
Okay, so a couple of things. I did send the Executive Council sort of my 10-week plan, and my hope is that they will take a look at that draft. It's it's just a draft. I'll probably have a revision of that 10-week plan before they meet next week, as I catch a couple of typos and things like that. But basically, it's based on kind of a 4 core structures so that I can begin building quorum right away. I'm looking for input on it, so I'm not going to go too much into detail about the specifics of it, other than that, I want to construct a nice committee with a lot of perspective and representation. So I won't go into the detail today because hopefully next week will be that detail. I've also been attending just sort of as a fly on the wall, but also somewhat of an active participant from the student perspective with, they call themselves the Racial Justice Collective. And so we're looking at a meeting with Lucia Nunez in the OEI tomorrow. And again, I'm playing more of an observational role on the different conversations happening regarding racial equity within the school, keeping the clear focus that it's the student perspective that is being looked at right now. And so I've expanded that to being active with the Black Student Union Group, and I'm looking at other student organizations. I'll start looking at affinity groups as well with that designation. And I had a nice conversation with Director Alfano regarding the joint letter. And so that's one of the things that I would think the ad hoc committee looks at, although I will say that as chair, even as a signature of the joint letter, it's not something that I'm personally, trying to drive through. I'm going to leave that to the committee on how they proceed on that. Just knowing that it's received, and if that's one of the things that becomes an item, then that's what they'll discuss. The main construction of the committee itself will be an odd number committee, so that when we vote on things, we can either vote majority, full majority, or whatever the case might be, working with legislative rules and of course our advisor to make sure that we're following everything in proper procedure. And I'll just underscore once again that as chair, my job more than anything else is just to be a timekeeper, not on any personal agenda. I'm really just trying to follow procedure and make sure that this thing rolls out with as much power and steam as we possibly can to create some kind of lasting legacy. That concludes my report for the Racial Inequity Committee. Expect to hear more, and as an announcement, I would say, senators who are interested can certainly start preparing their statements of interest, as that will be an aspect of getting on to the ad hoc committee.
Awesome. Any questions? Something in the chat, perhaps? Nope. All right. All right. Thank you, Senator Fisher. Moving down the list, textbook affordability is currently vacant. Now we're going to go down to regional and metro campus reports. Reedsburg is vacant. Watertown is vacant. Senator Rugny, you said, is not here at Advisor Rome, so we're gonna pass unless you have her report, if she sent it. All right. And then Fort Atkinson is vacant. Goodman South currently vacant, and we have added a Northern Regional Engagement Committee for Senator Rugny, but obviously she's again sick. So College Assembly and Council reports. The College Assembly, that goes to me. We have not had a new meeting since the last time I spoke about the College Assembly meeting that we had a couple weeks ago, right before GA. So when a new meeting happens, everyone will be informed of what went on at that time. Academic Council, Senator Fisher.
Wow. Okay, very fast. I was just getting things ready for that. Okay. Sorry. That was really fast. For Academic Council, I did respond to the very first thing I did in response was with regards to a PowerPoint and policy update. So sorry, I want to make sure. So, there's a draft policy out there basically talking about the timeliness of grades. And by the time I, was installed into this role, it looked really well, complete. The only thing I added based on my conversations with my fellow classmate had to do with having grades reported, quicker than we were seeing them, because it's not as if teachers are grading things on paper and then having to enter them in. A lot of these are with our learning management system, which is Blackboard. And so when you take a quiz, you would hope to see your grade quicker afterward than, having to wait. Some teachers do like to lock, the responses from quizzes until everyone has taken it. You might have the whole day or a couple of days to take it, and then once everyone has taken it, then you would expect to see your grades. So I just tried to include, some of that perspective, and maybe they'll consider putting that as part of the policy, that, it'd be nice to see grades quicker after taking a quiz or an exam. And in addition to that, perhaps maybe even suggesting to instructors to use the announcement feature via Blackboard, so that they can say, hey, everybody, our grades are posted, so that if you're like me, you have this anxiety. I'm logging in, I'm looking for my grade. It's still not posted. It's still not posted. It might just be helpful to, say, I'll wait until the announcement is there, and then I'll go and check my grade. So those are the only suggestions that I made to the Academic Council. We're going to meet twice in the month of October, and those dates are the 8th of October and the 22nd of October at 2 o'clock via Teams. That concludes my report for the Academic Council. If you have any things that you would like to see addressed about your academic, please come to my office hours, or just dial me up, and I'd love to hear your experience.
Awesome. Thank you, Senator Fisher. Do we have any questions for him? No. All right. Yeah. Let them know if you have any questions. Office hours or email. Moving down. Diversity and community relations. That's currently we have someone out. So that's not going to be happening. Facilities Planning and Investment Council, Senator Willis.
No report.
All right, thank you. And then Finance Council, Senator Ziegler.
Yes, we had Ben and Sylvia in here today, so I have nothing to add to their fine presentation. We will be meeting next week, and I look forward to presenting a report.
Awesome. Thank you, Senator Ziegler. And now Information Technology Council, Senator Zevell.
Hi. Yeah. No, nothing in the technology world except I did get Sheila's printer resolved. So she's not here to find out the good news, though I'm sad, but eventually she'll find out. But yes, I got her printer resolved in that case, so I'm happy. But
Awesome.
that's all.
Awesome. Thank you for taking care of that. We really appreciate that. All right, moving down the list. Institute. She's gone too. She's sick. Professional Development Council. Senator Willis, do you have a report for that?
Technically no report, but I just wanted to make an update announcement. We will be meeting on the first Monday of every month, and instead of the first Monday and the third Monday, they've actually just got it down to once a month now. So our next meeting is Monday that's coming up. What is that? 6th, the 5th? I think it's the 5th of October. Yes, Monday, October 5th.
Awesome.
That ends my report.
Thank you very much, Senator Willis. Student Affairs Council with VP Moreno.
No reports today.
No report. Okie dokie. And it looks like we have no old business items, and no new business items, and no non-business housekeeping items. So moving on down to announcements. Obviously, let's get those office hours done and logged. Let's make sure we're checking Teams, your school email. We have Advisor Rome's doing her work on you Wednesdays. Go check it out. It's really helpful. I think I went to one. I loved it. And then make sure all reports still going to Senator Jones as the communications coordinator, or Marcus, VP Rubio.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Are all reports still going to Senator Jones?
No, yes. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, so let's get any of those reports to Senator Jones so he can make sure that they're getting dealt with accordingly. Do we have any other questions, anything else that needs to be brought up before I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I was just gonna say really, quickly. I was earlier when you were talking about the voting thing. I got mine here, so I'm excited about the mail-in vote. I think what was being discussed earlier with the discrepancy had to do with something in New York where like the addresses on the inside label and the outside label were inaccurate. The best advice, we're hearing it from our senators who are doing this work. Just read everything carefully. And the sooner you do it, then the better if there is something wrong. But just read everything carefully. Make sure you got this thing in hand and you can put it in one of your polling spaces.
Exactly. Good.
And
well
read
said.
it. Make sure everything's good. And on that note, I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Senator Zebel, seconded by Senator Fisher. All right. All those in favor, please use the hand raising feature now. Oh, Jones, was that a question, or you just raising your hand?
I was trying to get an announcement in before the actual motion passed to tell everyone and remind them to get their bios and pics in. Our website has been updated and is now published.
Yes.
Lots of empty tiles under our current Senate listings. So please send in pictures if you can. If you have any questions about that, email me and we can discuss it further.
Check out the website. It looks pretty good. You did a great job on it. But yes, get those pictures in and all that. Really. All right. So continuing on, we got two up. I'm going to say all the remainder of everyone who would like to adjourn the meeting, please use the hand raising feature now. I only see two so far. Come on, guys. Oh, really? Really? Wow. I'm lagging.
Bro, I don't see any hands either. I was freaking out. I thought everybody went against me. I was like,
I'm lagging. Well, all right.
man.
Well, all those opposed, please put them down, and all those opposed, once they're all down, I literally see two hands up. This is crazy. Anyone who opposes, please put those hands up now.
Nobody's opposed.
Okay, and any abstentions?
Nope.
All right, and then I'm going to say this meeting has been adjourned at 6:10 p.m. and just in time for those dogs to go crazy. So I'll
Yep.
see everyone later. And you guys enjoy your weekend. Bye
Have a
bye.
good weekend, everyone.